Hi, my name is Dr. Mark Nelson. I'm sharing this video with you because we met at the NISAN conference just recently. And I wanted to share some information with you about how you can help your patients and your practice as an RD. I work with many healthcare professionals around the country, and as you may know, I gave a talk at that conference. What I'd like to share now is some additional information which will really help you help your patients and many others. I'm a Cook certified health coach and business coach with Take Shape for Life. And here we go. What I'd like to share with you is how to empower yourself and your patients by busting the myths about type 2 diabetes and obesity. And there certainly are a lot of myths out there that are, quite frankly, very harmful because they make it more difficult for us as health professionals to help people. So we're going to look at two big myths about type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. And we're also going to look at one big myth about obesity. Certainly there are many others, but we're going to explore what are perhaps the most harmful three myths in medicine today. So what are the two big myths about type 2 diabetes? First, that diabetes is a chronic progressive disease. And second, that lowering blood sugar should be the primary goal of therapy. When we step back and look at the CDC data, we all know that there are over 115 million Americans who have diabetes or the metabolic syndrome. And without weight loss and physical activity, according to the CDC, 15 to 30% of people with prediabetes will develop type 2 diabetes within 5 years. That's a lot because there are currently at least 86 million Americans with prediabetes. Now, we also know, again, this slide comes from the CDC, that 95% of diabetics are type 2 diabetics. The vast majority of these cases are prevented can be prevented, as you well know. And the vast majority of these instances, type 2 diabetes is due to unhealthy lifestyle, being overweight or obese. Actually, at this time, half of all US adults have diabetes or prediabetes, and the vast majority of them are overweight, unhealthy, or obese. So what is the first myth about type 2 diabetes? For most people, type 2 diabetes is a progressive disease. This is a myth. It's simply not true. The startling realization, however, is that this is one of the myths that the American Diabetes Association has propagated and is propagating at the current time. Type 2 diabetes is not a progressive or chronic disease because we can easily address the root cause. And this has been shown for many years in a number of studies, including the Diabetes Prevention Program that you're probably familiar with, where the progression from prediabetes to type 2 diabetes was reduced by 58% in prediabetics as a result of a relatively small reduction in body weight and 30 minutes of exercise a day. This 58% reduction actually was significantly greater than the reduction seen by medication, specifically metformin. The trial was discontinued 1 year early because of these results. Unfortunately, this study was actually not embraced by the healthcare community because most healthcare professionals continue to recommend first and foremost medications, and now are recommending surgery, which we will get to shortly. Now, this other article is very important. Again, there are many others. This was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 2008, basically saying that the predominant wisdom that high blood sugar, hyperglycemia, is the problem, that it really is the disease and should be treated, is actually incorrect. And they advanced, as did many others, the lipocentric concept, which basically said, as the author states, first, there has long been evidence that relatively modest weight loss by caloric restriction exercise, or both, can reduce insulin resistance and hyperglycemia, even if it fails to achieve its desired cosmetic goal. In other words, overweight individuals should restrict calories to prevent disease. Whether or not optimal weight loss is achieved, they go on to say that the preferred strategy to correct hyperglycemia is to eliminate its proximal cause, which is caloric surplus. Meaning, if we can help our patients lose weight, we will be able to address not just the blood sugar, but the root cause of the disease, type 2 diabetes. And of course, we know that losing weight can have a profound impact on both prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. This is a recent study that shows that a very mild reduction in body weight, 3% from baseline by 1 year, which is pretty conservative, resulted in weight decreasing, waist circumference decreasing, and in many instances reversing prediabetes as well as impaired glucose regulation. Now, we all know the healing effects of weight loss. You know it as a registered dietitian. I know it as a retired cardiologist. We know that when people can reach a healthy weight, we can see complete resolution or significant improvement in all of these diseases. For example, steatosis, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, the predominant cause for that in America today, as you well know, is overweight and obesity. 90% improvement with weight loss. Metabolic syndrome, 80% resolved, meaning cured. Type 2 diabetes, 83% resolved, meaning cured. Asthma, 82% improved or resolved. Cardiovascular disease, 82% risk reduction, and much more. So the vast majority of the chronic diseases that health professionals are reacting to and treating today are in fact preventable and potentially curable. What is the second myth about type 2 diabetes? Well, the American Diabetes Association would have people believe that if eventually oral medications aren't enough to keep blood sugar, blood glucose levels normal, that using insulin to get blood glucose levels to a healthy level is a good thing, not a bad one. Actually, it's a very bad thing because it means their diabetes is getting worse. So think about it. If you had a patient with pneumonia and you needed more and more cough syrup to control that patient's cough, would that mean their pneumonia is getting better or getting worse? If in fact we treat the root cause of the pneumonia, the cough will improve with or without cough syrup. When we give diabetics insulin, it's because their blood sugar is not controlled. And when we give them more and more insulin, which is usually the case over time for type 2 diabetics, it means that their blood glucose is getting worse and worse, which means that their disease is getting worse and worse. One of the very important things to realize is that insulin, in fact, makes type 2 diabetes worse. Type 2 diabetes is a state of hyperinsulinemia. Why on earth then would we give more insulin to a patient? And that is one of the great myths, that controlling blood sugar is in fact the treatment, when in fact giving insulin makes the disease worse, not better. Now, this has been shown in a number of studies, including this study about the effects of intensive glucose lowering in type 2 diabetes. In this study, intensive glucose lowering led to worse outcomes despite better control of blood sugar. Again, blood sugar is a symptom, a sign, if you will, of type 2 diabetes. It is not the cause. In this study, use of intensive therapy to target hemoglobin A1C and blood glucose levels for 3.5 years actually increased mortality and did not significantly reduce major cardiovascular events, which, as we all know, is one of the most serious long-term complications of type 2 diabetes. In fact, when we look at the intensive therapy group, they not only found more instances of low blood sugar requiring assistance, but weight gain was relatively common because that's what insulin does. Insulin creates weight gain. In this case, more than 10 kilograms or 20 pounds, which of course makes type 2 diabetes worse because it is one of the major contributors to insulin resistance. So what is the truth about type 2 diabetes? Well, the truth is that 90% of patients with type 2 diabetes can be cured without drugs or surgery. And that treating blood sugar is, in fact, like giving a cough suppressant to someone with pneumonia. It is treating a symptom. It is not treating the disease. What is the cure for type 2 diabetes and prediabetes? The vast majority of time, it's adopting and living a healthier lifestyle, learning and practicing healthy choices and new healthy habits, including, of course, how to lose weight safely, reducing carbs and calories, healthy nutrition, regular exercise, and restful sleep. Now, we all know that type 2 diabetes has a myriad of very serious complications when we enable it to be chronic and last a long time, which is currently what the sick care industry is doing, unfortunately, very well. They are treating and managing millions of type 2 diabetics, so they have the disease a very long time because they are controlling blood sugar, not curing the disease. As a result, we see serious complications, including blindness, kidney failure, often leading to dialysis, heart disease, heart attacks, strokes, and of course, amputations, loss of toes, feet, and legs due to the vascular disease as a result of what has become chronic type 2 diabetes. Hundreds of thousands of lives are lost every year. What is the myth? The myth is that these complications are a natural part of the disease process. Nothing could be further than the truth. The truth is that type 2 diabetes can be cured 90% of the time, and it should be self-evident that if there's no disease, there will obviously be no complications. So we know the two big myths about type 2 diabetes. You may be wondering why. Why is the truth hidden? Why isn't the sickness industry really helping and empowering patients to take control of their health and their life? Why are diabetics usually told there's really nothing you can do? You simply need to take the medication or perhaps have surgery. Well, this slide comes from the American Diabetes Association. And you can see that this country spends over $322 billion a year on diabetes and prediabetes. In fact, 1 in 5 healthcare dollars is spent caring for people with diabetes. There's clearly a lot of money in the sickness system, in the sick care industry, a lot of money floating around and to be made. Disease is very profitable. Obviously, the sick care system understands that. Type 2 diabetes is a huge moneymaker. By 2015, sales of diabetes drugs had reached $23 billion, more than the combined revenue of the NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball. In fact, from 2004 to 13, no less than 30 new diabetes drugs were brought to market. And unfortunately, many of the academic experts who are called to make recommendations regarding preferred treatments, be they drugs or surgery, for people with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, many of these same individuals are paid as speakers and consultants for diabetes drug companies. There are panels that make recommendations in this regard. And in 2008, 13 of the 17 panel members were paid as speakers and consultants for diabetes drug companies. In 2013, 13 of 19 doctors on the panel, including the chairman, were paid as speakers, consultants, and advisors to pharmaceutical companies making diabetes drugs. In fact, those companies spent over $10 million to influence the recommendations of these panels. Now, what's new and particularly disturbing is the current recommendation that just came out from the mouthpiece of the American Diabetes Association, Diabetes Care, that bariatric surgery should now be included as standard therapy for type 2 diabetics. They say that it should be recommended to treat all diabetes patients whose BMI is 40 or over, or those with a BMI of 30 or more whose blood sugar levels are not being controlled by lifestyle changes or medication. They say that it should now be a part of standard therapy and that it should be presented along with the other options as an option for standard therapy for type 2 diabetes. And without going into the ins and outs of weight loss surgery, bariatric procedures in the United States, I'm sure you're all aware, the rate of these procedures is growing rapidly. Just to give you one glimpse into the most common chronic conditions for just one of these surgeries, you can see that it is by no means a benign procedure and can result in a host of many health-related and medical problems, which is also true for the other kinds of bariatric surgery, not to mention the expense ranging from $20,000 to $25,000 per procedure. We know that managing disease is not the same as health and does not create health. Managing disease, more often than not, maintains the disease that someone has. And that is not benign either. Obviously, Actos, one of many diabetes medications, many of which can have serious adverse effects, was recently linked to a 63% increase in the risk of bladder cancer. And a much newer medication called Invokana has actually has a warning now regarding an approximately twofold higher risk for leg and foot amputations in patients who take this medication, and has been previously linked to a higher rate of bone fractures and risk of diabetic ketoacidosis. So we all know that one of the very serious complications of type 2 diabetes can be amputation. Here we are learning that one of the medications used to treat blood sugar in type 2 diabetes can actually result in amputation as well. The fact is, prediabetes and type 2 diabetes are curable and preventable. Now, this is an inconvenient truth for the sick care industry. It is an inconvenient truth for many health professionals who generate enormous amounts of money and profit, as do managed care organizations, their administrators, and big pharma. It is an inconvenient truth, but not to the people who matter to us, our patients, because we can often help them cure their type 2 diabetes and prediabetes by moving them to a new health path, which is moving beyond sickness to health, by learning and adopting new choices and habits so people can, in fact, slowly over time, change their choices, their habits, create a new structure in their life, so they, in fact, can move from sickness and disease to thriving and to health. This is very doable, and quite frankly, is our responsibility as health professionals. People can learn and embrace habits of health instead of habits of disease. What are the 5 core habits of health? Well, this is part and parcel of our Take Shape for Life program, where clients learn habits of healthy weight loss and maintenance, healthy eating, healthy nutrition, healthy motion, sleep, and stress reduction. This is Tom, who did our program. His type 2 diabetes has been cured as a result of losing weight safely, learning new habits of health, and maintaining a healthy weight because he has learned and adopted those new habits. His type 2 diabetes has been cured. He had it for many years. He now does not need any type 2 diabetes medications. So to say that type 2 diabetes is a chronic progressive disease is simply not true. This is Teresa, who was a pre-diabetic, and she lost weight on our program and has done very well. Her pre-diabetes has resolved, her high blood pressure has resolved, her chronic reflux and cough have resolved, her cholesterol has improved. And this is David, who also did our program, which is affordable and easy to do. While learning habits of health, people like David are able to get their health and their life back. His hypertension has resolved. His prediabetes has resolved. He is no longer a pre-diabetic, and his cholesterol has improved. So to argue that prediabetes or type 2 diabetes are chronic progressive diseases is simply not true. Now, what's the one big myth about obesity? Well, there are a lot these days, but this perhaps is the most harmful, and it was just announced that obesity is now a chronic disease. According to the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, it is a chronic disease, and they now are arguing very forcefully that the engine of this new guideline in terms of treating obesity should be pharmacologic therapy. So what we're basically saying, what they are basically saying, is here's another example of treating a disease that is preventable and curable 90% of the time at least. We would rather make that disease chronic by telling people that it's chronic. So now we can subject them to the engines of pharmacologic therapy, which is a very powerful economic engine, or bariatric surgery, rather than realizing that people can learn and adopt new choices and habits and take responsibility control of their weight, their health, and much more. They argue that overweight and obesity is a chronic disease. For Josephine Shaw, it of course is not a chronic disease. Josephine was overweight for many years with type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure. She did our program, was very successful, learned new choices and habits. Her type 2 diabetes is now cured as a result of losing weight, adopting and learning healthy habits. She is off cholesterol medications. Her blood pressure is also normal. She is much happier and healthier. These individuals have also done our program. To say that obesity is a chronic disease is a lie, a myth, powerfully destructive, because these doctors and associations are telling people they have no control and can essentially do nothing other than take medications or have surgery. These individuals have done our program without drugs, without surgery. They've been able to lose weight and maintain a healthy weight and learn new habits on that journey. Obesity is not a chronic disease. It is only a chronic disease if we do nothing to empower people to take control of their health, which is precisely what we do with Take Shape for Life. We are a comprehensive healthy lifestyle program that includes weight loss for sure, but as I've shared with you, it is much more than that. We are just beginning our journey with our clients after they reach a healthy weight. There is so much more in addition, which is really about mindfulness, a healthy mind, learning habits of health, taking control of our nutrition, our movement, sleeping better, dealing with stress, and moving our lives forward. The foundation for this long-term health is created with habits of health, and that is also an integral part of our program, which I won't go into detail here, but I have shared the basic fundamentals of it in an earlier slide. Because when we know how to lose weight and maintain a healthy weight, making healthier choices, move and sleep better, learn how to handle stress, we're in a powerful position to take control of our health. Overweight and obesity are both preventable and curable. That is very important to understand because we can have a dramatic impact on people's health and the health of this country. Let's step back for a bit. 93% of heart attacks are preventable. 80% of strokes are preventable. We know from a recent study and others that half of US cancer deaths are due to bad habits, according to this study, and can be prevented. And up to 40% of cancer cases can be prevented as well by habits of health, by living a healthy lifestyle. And of course, diabetes and prediabetes are 90% curable. The truth is simple. It is an inconvenient truth, as I've said for many. Nonetheless, it is the truth. Type 2 diabetes and prediabetes come from being overweight or obese the vast majority of the time. They are preventable and curable 90% of the time. Diabetic complications are not inevitable at all. And overweight and obesity are preventable and curable without drugs or surgery, at least 90% of the time. So what choice do our patients have, and what choice do we have? We can continue to manage disease, medications, or recommend surgery, and be frustrated by a sick care system that is really not empowering people to create health in their life. Actually, most healthcare professionals are not paid to empower their patients to get healthy. Being a health coach with Take Shape for Life, just so you know, would put you in a very powerful position to actually create health for your patients and create a better life for yourself. As a health coach, you are the CEO of your business. You would have freedom and flexibility to work anywhere and anytime, part-time or full-time. You are rewarded for helping others. We do something completely unique. We pay health professionals for guiding their patients to health and helping them create healthy lives. There is no inventory. We do not sell anything. And there are no territories, meaning as a health coach, you can help anyone in the United States of America, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Guam. There are also no ICD codes. We are paid well to guide people to health. We do not have to bill managed care. This is completely outside the oppressive and restrictive structure of the sick care system. We're paid directly by the company to help our patients. And no malpractice insurance is necessary as a health coach. Health coaches with Take Shape for Life have all the benefits of running a health and wellness business from home and or work. What helping people could look like is pretty amazing. We're paid well to help people, as I've said, and I'm happy to share this with you in more detail in 20 minutes on a Zoom to show some more slides, but just so you can get a sense of what is possible. If you help 5 people your first month, you would generate between $410 and approximately $456. If you guide 25 people a month, that would generate approximately $2,600 to $3,000 a month. This is actually very part-time work when one really understands how to guide our clients as a Take Shape for Life health coach, which is very simple and very straightforward. Your health is in your hands, as my health is in my hands, as every person's health is in their own hands. You are in a position to create optimal health and well-being for yourself, to create an opportunity for yourself to help more people, not manage their disease, but actually cure or dramatically improve their diseases, including prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, overweight and obesity, and many more, by empowering them to learn new choices and habits, which is the foundation of our Take Shape for Life program. At the same time, creating more options for yourself to live the life that you want to live as a person, a professional, an RD, perhaps a mother, as an individual, in this world, helping others, empowering others to create health. So I hope this information has been helpful. I certainly believe we should not be burdened by the destructive myths that are being propagated by the sick care system, destructive myths about type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, overweight, and obesity. You can create health for your patients and a life for yourself. I would welcome the opportunity to share more information with you, basically going over the essentials of our program and business, which we could do in 15 to 20 minutes. Just so you know, the health professional opportunity with Take Shape for Life is not shared on the internet. So if you look there and you don't see it, it's because it isn't there. I am happy to share it with you if you're interested at your convenience. Please feel free to take down my email and phone. Thank you for listening to this webinar. Our mission is to create a healthier America. We would be honored if you chose to join us. Thank you very much.